Hey everyone, and welcome back to Malaysia in Focus, the place where we break down the complex stories shaping our nation. And you're going to want to stick around for this one, because the government's plan to protect kids online might just change the internet for every single one of us. What started as a conversation about safety for under-16s has blown up into a huge debate about our privacy, our freedom, and who really controls our digital lives. So the big question is this plan a much-needed safety net, or is it a trap? Let's get into it.
And right off the bat, this quote from the Consumer Choice Center just nails the entire conflict. They're saying a ban doesn't actually solve anything. It just shoves the problem out of sight. This idea right here is at the heart of the whole pushback.
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is the government proposing? Let's break down the big plan.
So here's the deal in a nutshell. The plan is to completely ban anyone under 16 from having a social media account. Now, this isn't happening tomorrow. They're aiming for 2026. And the reason, they say, is to protect young people from really serious stuff like cyberbullying and online harassment. The goal sounds good, right? But the real controversy, the part that has everyone talking, is how they're going to do it, with mandatory age verification for everyone. And that brings us to a little four-letter acronym that is about to become a very, very big deal, e-KYC. You can think of this as the engine that's supposed to make this whole system run.
So what on earth is e-KYC? I know, it sounds super technical, but I promise you, you've probably already used it. It stands for Electronic Know Your Customer. You know when you sign up for a new bank account or your touch-and-go e-wallet online and you have to take a photo of your MyCard and then a selfie? Yep, that's e-KYC. It's just a digital way to prove you are who you say you are.
So here's how that would work for social media. If you wanted to create a new TikTok or Instagram account, you'd have to go through that same process. You'd have to use your official government ID. We're talking your MyCard, your passport, or that new MyDigital ID to prove your age. The days of just ticking a box and pretending you're 18 would be over. You have to actually prove it.
All right, so that's the plan. But as you can imagine, not everyone thinks it's a great idea. In fact, a whole lot of civil society groups are pushing back, hard, arguing that this solution might actually cause more problems than it solves.
And look, this isn't just one or two activists. We're talking about a whole coalition of really respected organizations, groups like the Center for Independent Journalism and the CNR Project. They've all teamed up to issue a joint statement. And trust me, they are ringing some major alarm bells about this whole e-KYC plan.
Their arguments really boil down to four key worries. First, and this is a big one, privacy. I mean, let's be real. Given Malaysia's track record with data leaks, how comfortable are you handing over your MyCard details to every social media platform out there? Second, what they call a chilling effect. If your real identity is tied to everything you post, would you still feel safe criticizing the government or talking about sensitive issues? The fear is it could silence people. Third, they say it just plain won't work. We all know teens are smart. They'll find a way around it. And finally, digital exclusion. What about people without a MyCard, or those in rural areas who can't easily verify online? They could get locked out of the digital world entirely.
And this quote from Termizi Anwar just perfectly captures that last point. Bad policy builds walls that young people climb anyway. It's such a great visual, right? You can build this huge technical wall, but determined young people are always going to find a ladder. The real solution, they argue, isn't about building higher walls. If this breakdown is giving you a clearer picture, hit like and subscribe so you'll always stay ahead on Malaysia's biggest issues.
So, is Malaysia going it alone on this? Not at all. This is a problem countries all over the world are trying to solve. So let's zoom out for a second and see how other places are handling it. This table gives us a really clear comparison. You see Malaysia's approach here. It's very strict, very direct. You must use your government ID. But then you look at Australia. They put the responsibility on the platforms, telling them to take reasonable steps, which is much more flexible. And Singapore is doing something else entirely. They're regulating the app stores, the gateways to the apps. The big takeaway is that there are other ways to tackle this, ways that maybe don't require every single person to hand over their ID. Now, let's switch gears. You would think that cutting off millions of potential users would have the advertising industry in a complete panic. But that's not really what's happening.
Yeah, their reaction has been surprisingly calm, and the reason is actually pretty simple. Most advertisers weren't targeting their ads to kids under 16 anyway. The big platforms like Meta and Google already have rules that limit ad targeting to users 18 and up. So for the ad agencies on the surface, it's pretty much business as usual.
But that doesn't mean there won't be any impact. We can expect to see a few ripple effects. First, a big shift towards targeting parents. If you can't advertise to the kids, you go after the people with the money, right? Second, ad costs could actually go up. When you have a smaller audience, the competition to reach them gets fiercer and prices rise. And third, brands will just have to get more creative with how they reach young people, probably through different channels.
Okay, so if the ban has all these problems, what's the alternative? If we agree that building a wall isn't the answer, what should we be doing instead? Well, the critics have a plan for that too.
Their whole philosophy is about empowerment, not restriction. It's a four-step approach. It starts with real, effective digital and media literacy education in our schools. Step 2 is about getting parents more involved and giving them the tools they need. Step 3 is about building emotional resilience, so kids are better equipped to handle the pressures of being online. And finally, it's about teaching them to be responsible digital citizens from a young age.
And here's the thing. We wouldn't even be starting from scratch. Malaysia already launched a national digital education policy back in 2023. The foundation is already there. So the argument from critics is pretty simple. Why not focus our energy and resources on strengthening the plan we already have instead of building a whole new restrictive system with so many potential downsides? Thanks for watching. Join thousands of Malaysians who want clarity, not confusion. Tap like, hit subscribe, and let's keep making sense of this together.
And that really brings us to the final fundamental question for our country. As we move forward, what's the better path? Should we be building digital walls, hoping to keep the dangers out, even though we know walls can be climbed? Or should we be investing in building digital wisdom, empowering our next generation to navigate the online world safely and responsibly on their own terms? The answer to that is going to define our digital future.